Magic Kingdom on this Easter Sunday night, and apparently a change of heart. This the scene moments ago during the course of our commercial break. Here comes Shaquille O'Neal. With a sense of drama, Shaquille O'Neal just arrived at the arena. He's hustling back to the Orlando locker room and obviously will try to get himself into uniform and will be appearing on the bench. Now, earlier, Brian Hill told our Jim Gray that he would play Shaquille only if he arrived before game time. So there could be a change of heart because of the circumstances. We'll see. But Shaquille making his way to the Orlando locker room. It was thought that he would not play. We heard Dennis Scott say that he'd probably sit it out for several additional days. And there's Shaquille looking to, well, he's got the key himself.
And form head coach Brian Hill that Shaq is in the locker room and getting dressed. And Brian has a very quizzical look on his face right now, not really sure of what's going to happen.
So Shaq is in the building. Hardaway, yes, and the Magic with a 2-0 lead. Very difficult situation for team management, the coaching staff. They have to let him play, no matter what was said earlier, because of the sensitivity of the issue.
Oh, everybody is sensitive to Shaq's feelings at this point, going through the grieving process, the most probably traumatic situation for him in his young life.
Kukoc coming up short, and back comes Hardaway. The Orlando Magic coming off the loss here at home to the Boston Celtics in their last game Thursday night, blowing a 19-point lead in the second half. Hardaway for three. And it was Jim.
All right, Marv, Shaq is right now in the locker room. He is getting suited up. His ankles are being taped by Lenny Currier. John Gabriel with the Magic came out to Brian Hill, the head coach, and asked him what he thought. Would he let Shaq play? Emphatically, Hill said, no, I don't want him to play. He was not here in time for the tip, so he doesn't want him to play. But then afterwards, Bob Vanderwee, who is the president of the club, said, we'll see, that could change. Marv?
All right, thank you, Jim. Ongoing drama behind the scenes here in Orlando. Nice pass, but contact could not convert.
And to get too many with Michael Jordan guarding him.
Jordan a moment ago hit the three. Jordan with the step.
Yes.
So Michael Jordan with all Jordan.
Michael Jordan has just been outstanding ever since Pippen and Rodman went out of the lineup. Michael has picked it up, playing with a great deal of confidence.
Jordan with the baseline move. Beautiful feed. Harper is
in the air only because Michael Jordan able to hang in the air that extra split second and whip her down the lane. And John Contact makes for certain.
5 minutes gone by. The steal by Harper. And he's able to make his way ahead of the field and slam.
Well, when you
prior to tonight, back in November here in Orlando, Penny Hardaway with 36 points led the Magic to a 6-point win. December 13th in Chicago, Michael Jordan with 36 in a 112-103 Bulls victory. And back in February was Tony Kukoc with the 6 from downtown. He had 24 in all in a 111-91 Bulls victory. Both clubs looking at tonight's game as a
games against Chicago and having lost the last game here on this floor against the Boston Celtics.
Horace Grant has been on a terrific offensive tear. He told us he won a game and shooting just under 60% from the field. Bulls with a 10-8 lead. The Magic had missed its previous 8 shots. And Grant with the rejection on Jordan. Horace Grant turning back Michael Jordan. Hardaway. A 3 for Penny Hardaway, and the Magic leading 11-10 in the first quarter. For those of you who may have just tuned in, there was a question mark right throughout the day as to whether Shaquille O'Neal would return to the action. Jordan with another 3, and the Bulls lead by 2.
Fortunately for Penny, he took an elbow right into the Adam's apple area.
Apparently all right, shaking it off, indicating that to the Orlando bench. Kukoc hitting the 3 for this evening's game, but there's been no contact between Brian Hill and Shaquille O'Neal, we're told, since last Tuesday with Shaquille in New Jersey. He did make his return to this area as Grant is able to slam it down. He did return late last night. They are still waiting for Shaquille.
We get 2 seconds.
Just moments before the introduction of the lineups made his way to the arena. It was thought that he's definitely out of tonight's game, but he did make his way in rather dramatic fashion, and here comes Shaquille O'Neal. The crowd reacts as Scott fires too long, and Shaquille takes a seat on the Orlando bench. And we'll have to see how Brian Hill plays this out. Kukoc for 3. The Bulls lead by 6. You can see all the Bulls looking down the sideline. They are surprised to see Shaquille.
And I'm sure the Magic bench knew that Shaq was coming out as well, but they look like dumbfounded right now. They don't really know what to make of this. It's amazing the Magic out on the court trying to keep their composure with all the distractions around the periphery.
Hardaway cutting it to a 4-point lead, and we have another issue with him, the big picture. Brian Hill had said that he would not play Shaquille O'Neal unless he showed up prior to the start of the ball game and was on the bench. But obviously a change of heart. We'll be right back.
Back to the arena. I'm Jim Gray. I had a brief opportunity to speak with Shaquille O'Neal just before he ran out on the court. He said his mental state is okay, that it has been a very difficult 5 days for him. I asked him if he expected to play, and he said that would be the coach's decision, but he couldn't see any reason why he wouldn't play. I asked him if he wanted to play. He said he very badly wants to play. Marv?
All right, thank you, Jim. And in the huddle just a moment ago, looks like Shaq is an outsider. In fact, Brian Hill did not acknowledge Shaq at all.
Well, you know, Brian is befuddled right now with this whole situation. There has been contact with the organization. Bob Vanderwide, Alex Martins attended the funeral yesterday along with John Gabriel up in New Jersey, and they did speak briefly with Shaquille O'Neal, but felt at that time that he was just, you know, not feeling very good right now about doing anything but taking care of his family and the business at hand.
Dennis Rodman has checked in for the first time. Jordan. And the rebound, hustled down by Anderson. James Edwards also on the floor. So Edwards up front with Rodman and Kukoc. Hardaway. Jordan from Kukoc. Beautiful pass. And Michael providing the finisher. He has
looking for something to develop. He saw creases, he saw open spaces, and waiting for either Dennis Rodman to turn his head, which he didn't. Michael Jordan came to the rescue and showed up right in the middle of the lane.
Now Jordan played by Anderson. Michael Jordan coming out shooting in this first quarter as Dennis Rodman with his first rebound. Jordan with the step, finding Edwards. Yes. James Edwards. Dennis Scott now banking his way on Scottie Pippen. Setting up Horace Grant. Horace with the touch. 6 points. And the Bulls now lead the area late last night. Now we're told he did not come in until this morning. Scottie Pippen going last.
Speak briefly with him. We'll probably try to do it this timeout for a quarter break.
On the back tap, another shot for Grant. 8 points on 4 of 6 to the field.
With a foul to give here, and look for Nick Anderson to try to hack Michael Jordan before he gets in the act of taking a shot.
Well, he lets him go, and now the foul, but the basket will count. Michael Jordan with 12 points, and he's headed to the line.
Well, I was watching the bench signal to Nick the foul to give, and I thought Nick acknowledged that he was aware of it, and I expected him to grab Michael before he made that move, and obviously Nick did not get the signal correctly and make it up the possible three-point play.
Yes, that's number 3. Instead on contact, we'll try to help out. 3-point play for Jordan. He has 13. Final seconds of the quarter. Bulls lead by 9 points. Hardaway got the step, then the adjustment. What a move by Penny Hardaway. Met by Rodman, able to switch hands in midair and hit. So after one here in Orlando, The Bulls 28 and the Magic 21. Another look is Hardaway, with the clock running down at the end of the quarter, is able to slice his way, then look at the adjustment with Rodman coming over. But there is another story developing here, and that is the dramatic appearance of Shaquille O'Neal, and the question when he'll play tonight.
This is the NBA on NBC.
Back at the arena, Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, Jim Gray, Ahmad Rashad. 7-point Chicago lead, and here comes Shaquille O'Neal, and this is certainly a change of heart because Brian Hill, who obviously is upset with the way Shaquille handled what is certainly a sensitive matter, but still upset, said before the game that he would not play Shaquille O'Neal if he showed up here following the tip, and wanted to hold to that, said he would, and obviously has changed his mind.
Well, it's got to be so difficult. You're trying to coach your basketball team against the best team in the league. You're trying to win this ball game on your home floor, and you have all these things swirling around your head. But Brian Hill has to remember, and I'm sure he's thinking, he has to do what is best for this organization and for Shaquille O'Neal, all the players.
Shaquille, people would say, what a strong move by the coach, Brian Hill, and sticking to the rules. Scottie Pippen, and the Bulls now lead by 8. People will say, how can you not play him? It's really a can't win, and he has opted under pressure from management, too, from team management, as O'Neal rebounds and scores. Because earlier, as Jim Gray had related to us during the timeout, the president...
Again, Brian Hill, he's got his principles, he's got his beliefs, but he also knows when this man comes into the game, the whole complexion of his basketball team certainly changes because of the way that the Chicago Bulls have to treat Shaquille O'Neal at the offensive end.
Hardaway put on the line. That was a two-point attempt. Steve Kerr on the floor for the first time. Here's Hoffer. Chicago with an 8-point lead.
And right,
able to chase it down.
Shaquille O'Neal running in transition. James Buddha Edwards just too slow and not making body contact. And Brian Shaw loves to throw that alley-oop. Brian playing with a very, very tender wrist. As Shaquille O'Neal trying to get himself into this game as he looks skyward.
Welcome back to the arena. The Bulls lead by 6. I'm now joined by John Gabriel, the Vice President of Basketball for the Magic. Brian Hill told you emphatically he did not want Shaquille to play. You took those words and were disappointed. What happened from the time you left Brian till now?
I think Brian did not know at that particular time that Shaquille had arrived in the building, and the last thing he said to me was if he was going to be on the court in a uniform, that it would be up to him to decide during the game whether or not he would get in the ball game.
John, has the organization in any way impressed upon Brian Hill and forced him to play Shaq?
No, absolutely not. We view this as not an unexcused absence. We understand and support Shaquille wholeheartedly.
Thank you, John. Marv?
All right, Jim, yes, it has been very traumatic for Shaquille O'Neal. He was at the bedside of Odessa Chambliss when she died last week, and then he skipped the games against New York and Boston. His grandmother was like a second mother to Shaquille O'Neal, so he remained in the New Jersey area to take part in the funeral arrangements. Arrived back in Orlando this morning, as it turns out. And here he is on the floor. And Shaquille O'Neal looking very sharp in the second quarter. That won't count. Foul before the shot on Bill Wennington.
Well, Bill Wennington just does not have the bulk or strength to keep Shaq out of the lane. And they're calling it a one-shot foul. And that's where the Bulls really miss Luke Longley, who...
O'Neal. And you get the idea that he is playing with a vengeance. We saw him point upwards. down about it or whether he will use it for inspiration. It appears that Shaquille is using it to motivate himself.
Well, these are situations where the Chicago Bulls would like to foul Shaquille before he can dunk that basketball, but no way Michael Jordan could find a problem shooting the basketball even when his wrist is healthy.
He fell down. Kukoc, yes, a three for Tony Kukoc. Again, the pass from O'Neal picked off. Here's Kerr, chased by Anderson. Nicely done by Steve Kerr, protecting the ball and hitting on the reverse. O'Neal taking advantage of the gamble by Bill Wennington.
Well, really, Bill.
Here is Shaw. Brian Shaw from downtown. So the Magic getting back into it with the three-point shot. Thank you, Bob. And a moment ago, we saw Phil Jackson upset in particular with Bill Wennington, and this is what he was upset about.
Bill Wennington, the defender on this play of Shaquille O'Neal, playing way too soft. He wanted to come out here and trap this man with the ball, but Bill Wennington sags too much defensively, and it lets the Magic get into the seam and kick out for the open shot.
Hill hanging back, looking for the steal. Kukoc, yes. Tony Kukoc doing it again to the Magic. That's his fourth three-pointer. The last time first quarter. Fade away by Jordan. 17 for Michael Jordan.
He gets the ball below the free throw line extended or in a post-up situation. He's going to draw some Orlando Magic players. Penny Hardaway coming. Horace Grant was coming on the baseline side, but Michael has almost perfected that fadeaway jump shot out of the low post, which is his third foul. Again, Grant open. Rebounded by Edwards. He lost it. O'Neal gives it back. Hardaway for three. Hardaway dumps it off. Good reaction by the halftime break with on some kind of a positive note. Nice flip back by Shaquille O'Neal, and Penny Hardaway, who has been off from the perimeter but staying after his own shot, out-dueling Michael Jordan for the loose one, finds Nick Anderson all alone.
Hardaway 4 of 12 from the field. Point lead for the Bulls at the half. The numbers on Jordan and O'Neal. Shaquille doing it in the second quarter after showing up just after the opening tip. Bob Costas and the Prudential halftime report coming up after these words.
To speak with Magic coach Brian Hill prior to the third quarter. First to some other scores, starting with the Lakers' 10-point win over the Spurs seen earlier today on NBC. After an undefeated month of March, the Admiral and his crew have now lost 3 of their last 4. David Robinson got 22 of his game-high 40 in the first half, helping the Spurs to their biggest lead of the game here, 24-11 in the first quarter. Second quarter, Lakers go on a 23-4 run. Eldon Campbell follows the miss by Cedric Ceballos, and Bob Hill's Spurs suddenly found themselves trailing by 2 at halftime. Second half, Magic leads the break to Eddie Jones for the two-handed jam. Jones had 19. The Lakers win by 10. Elsewhere at the Fleet Center, Boston equaled Detroit 98-97. Grant Hill posted his 9th triple-double of the season despite the spill there, 16, 10, and 10 for him. Final seconds of the first half, Terry Mills with the turnaround from 3. He beats the buzzer, and Detroit leads at the break 47-44. But Todd Day took over in the fourth quarter for the Celtics. 11 of his 16 points came during a Boston run. The dunk pulls them to within 1, and then he caps the run with a three-pointer, giving the Celtics an 85-78 lead. They hold on to beat the Pistons by 1, 98-97. And Phoenix had an easy win at Vancouver. The final there was 112-92. Let's look in on some highlights.
Matt Guokas in a moment. 2 as we get set for the start of play in the third quarter. A moment ago, Jim Gray talked with Orlando coach Brian Hill.
With Brian Hill, Brian, you said before the game, if Shaq was not here in the pregame, you told me he would not play. John Gabriel came out to the bench. You were emphatic. You said you didn't want Shaq to play. Why did you have to change your heart and put him in the game?
Well, I think you're misconstruing that a little bit. I was not emphatic that I said I did not want Shaquille to play. I felt if he was in town last night and was not here this morning, that would be a problem. He was not in town last night. He got in town minutes before the game started today. And it's a completely different scenario, but I think maybe there was a little miscommunication there.
Were you in any way, shape, or form forced to put Shaq into the game? And you talk about communication. Are you upset that Shaq, even though it's a sensitive issue, didn't communicate with you?
No, I was not forced in any way to put him into the game. I'm the coach. I coach the team. I put in who I feel like putting in the game, and that's it. Case closed.
Thanks, Brian. Good luck in the second half.
You're welcome.
Back to you, Mark.
All right, Jim. Well, perhaps some revisionist history. We can't tell. Certain things were said earlier. At any rate, let's check in for the Chicago Bulls point of view with Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marv. Phil Jackson very concerned with the tempo of this game. He also felt like they weren't getting enough rebounds. We're taking shots from the perimeter. Everybody was not going to the boards. And the point that he really made was to come out and play this third quarter extremely hard, because the last time they played here, Orlando held them in the third quarter to 14 points. Marv?
Quarter. Ron Harper, Michael Jordan in the backcourt. Bill Wennington, Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen up front. These days, Dennis Rodman coming off the bench since the return from the suspension. And he told us no problem with him. He can handle it as long as he gets his playing time. And Pippen hits the three. Scottie Pippen opening up the third quarter. And he's given a 10-point lead for the Bulls as we get underway in this third quarter. Harper way off. Just did get a piece of a ring for Indiana on Friday. And they have lost 2 of their last 3 games. Of course, Shaquille O'Neal sitting out the last 2. And that is called on Shaquille. It's an offensive foul.
And Dennis Rodman, I'm sure, learned this little trick from watching Bill Laimbeer play against a lot of centers, and Shaquille O'Neal putting a little bit of pressure on and then just flopping backwards. Pressure, 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 and then give a little ground, and then Shaq was trying to feel some more body and then went.
Now Scott posting up, going at Harper. Picked off by Jordan. 2-on-1. Pippen with Harper. Pippen all the way, and not able to hit. Rebound, Pippen. The Bulls lead 55-43, and a 20-second timeout taken. Have been invisible. Scott 0 for 5. Anderson 1 for 3. Hardaway and O'Neal just not getting the help. Nice move by Penny Hardaway. He has 12, and the Bulls are up.
Brilliant first half, scoring 18 points, and never really got involved offensively in the third quarter. Coming out of that 20-second timeout, going to Hardaway inside, and as good a defender as Scottie Pippen. He really has his hands full with Penny Hardaway. He told us today the toughest in the league for him to guard.
Oh, Michael Jordan owning the court on that move.
First, Jordan coming out very focused in this third quarter, using that screen from Dennis Rodman. Shaquille actually doing a good job of first cutting off Michael Jordan, but Michael just too quick, and giving up a lot of height, weight, and strength, trying to keep his hands out of there as the official, I'm sure in the baseline, telling him, watch your hands. And he did, and Shaq, not taking advantage of it, just
Hardaway for 3. Yes. The Bulls 50 at the post. Jordan picked up by O'Neal and fires one up and actually assists himself. So you know what? Pop it off glass, catch it, but he will not get credit for the assist.
Because he knew he was in trouble, but just so much more alert, so quick to react to the basketball.
Hardaway showing his quickness. Now the Bulls try to break Anderson. 6:16 remaining in the third quarter. As you watch Jordan in action, you are watching the NBA on NBC.
Orlando Magic have to keep going inside, whether it be Shaquille O'Neal or Anthony Hardaway, to force that Chicago defense to collapse and maybe get some three-pointers to get themselves and the crowd going.
Well, Shaquille gets the crowd going. 6 of 8, 13 points. The Bulls lead by 9. The alley-oop from Pippen. Yes, and it counts. Beautifully thrown pass by Harper.
Well, it seems at least once a game, either a Scottie Pippen or a Michael Jordan are going to catch you on this backdoor lob play.
Penny Hardaway felt like he was right there, or he was actually late, but he thought he got all ball to play, upset with the call. But once a guy like Pippen or Jordan
in the first half. So Scotty in low-key fashion, but has really come on. Shot clock at 5. Anderson. And is only his second field goal. 64.
Offensively, you got to give the Chicago Bulls defense a lot of credit. They're as good as anybody in the half-court playing situations.
Scott. Dennis Scott. O'Neal with a power dunk. Dennis Scott now 0 for 6 from the field. He was forced to...
Well, the ball just being slapped around inside. Alert play by Penny Hardaway to keep that thing alive as everybody took their eyes on Shaquille O'Neal right underneath the basket. As Hardaway knew exactly what he was going to do on the play. And Michael Jordan he's got excellent hands.
Here's Shaw. Yes, and it counts. Beautiful move by Brian Shaw, who was being smothered. 7 points, Chicago lead. Hardaway got position. 19 for Penny. The Magic on the run. Hardaway from Shaw. And the Bulls now lead by 5.
Well, that's the kind of play this the Bulls with another one of those slow, fast breaks. Didn't take advantage of the opportunity.
Here's Jordan. Michael Jordan on the penetration. The back from Orlando Magic management and the coaching staff. Foul committed by Wolf.
And in the family brings you Miller Moments.
Tonight we look back at some Michael Magic. January 16th, 1993, a night the Orlando Magic could not stop Michael Jordan. Jordan lit them up for 64 points. It's the most points scored against Orlando, the second highest scoring game ever for Michael. A hit for 69 against Cleveland back in 1990. In recognition of this moment, the Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Jordan was 27 of 40
defense, but the Bulls have stopped executing.
Here is Grant. Horace Grant brings Orlando within 5.
And Phil Jackson very unhappy with
crowd very much alive. Lennington. O'Neal rebound. Scott for 3. He is 0 for 7. Kukoc for 3. Yes. That is his 5th three-pointer. The Bulls lead 82-74.
Dennis Scott beside himself right now. He prides himself on playing well in these big games. He has had his problem with the Bulls.
Oh, Shaquille O'Neal with a power move. Phil Jackson looking for the foul call. Wanted a charge. 6 points. Chicago lead. 6:45 remaining in the fourth. Jordan off the spin. Lennington with the putback. Here tonight. These two clubs last met, as I mentioned, on the 25th of February in Chicago. And Tony Kukoc, the difference, on fire from long range, hitting 6 of 8 three-point field goals. 8 of 11 overall, 24 points as the Bulls won that game over the Magic, 111-91.
Well, back at that time, Tony Kukoc was shooting just 31% from beyond the three-point arc. That's not that good, but since that game, he has shot 43% and raised.
In the huddle, Brian Hill mentioning to the Magic, we have plenty of time. Let's not rush things. We're right in the ball game. Hardaway, 6 points, Chicago lead.
And he didn't rush any.
O'Neal. It's on Rodman.
Shaquille O'Neal getting excellent position against Dennis Rodman as once again Phil Jackson.
Jordan has missed 9 of his last 11 shot attempts. Three and a half remaining in the fourth. O'Neal's pass broken up, saved by Hardaway. Here's Shaquille. Nice recovery by Penny Hardaway to find Shaquille O'Neal. It's down to a 4-point Chicago lead.
There's that message again. Horace Grant wanting his younger teammates not to settle for anything less.
And it was Chicago native Nick Anderson doing it again to Michael Jordan, coming up with the rejection. 2:40 remaining, fourth quarter. Orlando down by only 4. Hardaway, yes. The Chicago lead is 2.
Well, Penny Hardaway is the Magic coming down the stretch. They're going to put it in his hands and let him create.
Rodman for Kukoc. Kukoc on the drive, lays it off to Rodman. Dennis Rodman with a big bucket, his first field goal of the game. 86.
Well, it's been a nightmare second half for Michael Jordan. Catching there, and Nick Anderson just timed it beautifully as Penny Hardaway.
Michael now 9 of 28. He's missed 10 of his last 12. Several of those shots he had to force at the end of the 24-second sequence. Shaquille O'Neal with 21. The Bulls by 2. A minute 45 remaining. And they are standing at the arena. A furious rally by the Magic. Pippen off the mark, shooting for 3. Here comes Shaw. Anderson fumbled the dribble and hit on a reach-in. It is a non-shooting foul. That is number 4. 14. The Bulls with only 1 field goal their last 9 possessions. It is so strange to see the Chicago offense struggling as it has here in the second half.
And the Magic deserve a lot of credit. Their defense has been much more aggressive in this second half.
Here's Shaw for 3. Grant. And he's tied the game at 86. Terrific reaction from Horace Grant, realizing that that shot by Shaw did not make contact with the rim, so the 24-second clock was running down.
You're right, Marv, and he had to...
Chicago and Orlando tied at 86. A minute 9 remaining in the fourth quarter. What's going on in the huddle? Well, first from the Chicago point of view, Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv. Phil Jackson not saying a whole bunch during that timeout. He said they got to run their offense, make sure they get a good shot, and just play good basketball for 69 seconds. Jim?
All right, Ahmad. Well, Brian Hill thinks that the guys need to talk to one another on the picks. He feels that the ball's going to Jordan and will be kicked out to Kerr or Pippen if Jordan doesn't have a shot. Marv?
Thanks, guys. Orlando in the midst of a 10-2 run to tie the game at 86. And Michael Jordan has given the Bulls the lead, 88-86. He had missed 10 of his previous 12 shots. Only 4 points in the fourth quarter, 35 seconds.
And the Magic do not have to foul in this situation. They do have one to give, however.
7 on the shot clock, 21 remaining on the game clock. Jordan, wild shot, and Orlando in possession. They take a timeout. Comes into Tony. Look out, hits on line. Yeah! Bulls win!
There goes Sampson underneath.
Sampson going underneath. Here goes to Sampson. He puts it in.
Oh, yeah!
Ewing. The spin move for the win.
Yes! With 1.8 left! Goodness gracious!
Do you believe what you just saw?
Oh! They're on their feet. They love it.
Welcome to the playoffs. Well, as we mentioned earlier, the Chicago Bulls have dropped 5 straight regular season games in Orlando. The last regular season win here at the Arena, February 25th. Back in 1993, the Bulls led by Michael Jordan, 36. Shaquille O'Neal added 30 for the Magic. But it was the Bulls winning a close one, much to the chagrin of a disgruntled and disheveled Magic head coach, Matt Dukas.
Oh, they're running chance.
Michael only 2 of 9 from the field in the fourth quarter. They adjusted the clock 12 7/10 seconds. So 5/10 of a second added on. Brian Shaw will throw in. The Bulls by 2. 86. Delay of game is taken by Chicago. Now Shaw having difficulty finding a teammate, and right here, and they're 4:15 from downtown. 2-point Chicago lead as Hardaway sets up against Pippen. Here's Hardaway. Coming up short. O'Neal with the air ball. And they get the whistle for the foul with 2 1/10 seconds remaining. Foul on Grant. It is a non-shooting foul.
Well, Penny Hardaway got the penetration in. Michael Jordan came over just to bother that shot attempt a little bit, and Shaquille O'Neal could not clean up on the offensive board.
So the Bulls take this foul by Orlando, will be their 5th, and it will not matter. We'll see. They get the whistle before the horn. Another strong game offensively for Kukoc. He has 18 points, and he's done it from three-point range, hitting 5 of 8 from downtown. The Bulls now lead by 3. And a timeout called by the Magic. With showtime at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then some of you will see the leaders of the Western Conference square off. Shawn Kemp leading the Sonics into the Alamo Dome, taking on David Robinson and the Spurs. And others will see a showdown of former teammates and fellow coaches. Patrick Ewing, Jeff Van Gundy leading the Knicks into Miami, taking on Alonzo Mourning, Pat Riley, and the Heat in a game with playoff implications. Special Saturday edition of the NBA on NBC next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, another twin bill, Chicago, Cleveland, Phoenix, and the LA Lakers will be on hand at the Gund Arena in Cleveland. And if Chicago, as appears to be the likely scenario, holds on here, they would have a shot of gunning for number 70 next Sunday against the Cavaliers. Tomorrow night, the Bulls are back home for Charlotte. The Hornets, although they bounced back with a win over Cleveland yesterday, the Hornets may still be reeling, though, from Kukoc fires it off the rim. Might not be a bad idea. But he's going for the shot, able to hit for the 4-point lead. And Wolf pops it to Hardaway, takes the 3. And the Chicago Bulls able to hold on to defeat the Orlando Magic 90-86, and Orlando suffering its 3rd home loss the last 4 games. They are now 34-3 at home. Jordan with 27, Hardaway with 25, the High Point men. Let's go to Ahmad with Michael Jordan.
All right, thanks. Michael, one of the things you had told me about before the game was one of the points you wanted to make coming in here, that you guys were able to beat Orlando on their home court.
Yeah, I think we made that statement that we came in and we won here, but I don't think we played our best basketball. But sometimes when you're on the road, you just have to scram some kind of victory. And I think it was a big win for us, going into the playoffs and with the confidence that we need coming in to play here.
One of the areas of concern had to be your lack of offense. The offense really struggled in the second half.
Well, we got out of sync. Everybody, when we couldn't make our shots, we tried to go inside. We tried to do it on all by ourselves. And, we just totally got out of our rhythm. And, their defense is so tough that they can get you out of rhythm. And, next thing you know, you're playing a scrappy ball game.
All right, thanks a lot, Michael. Sure. Good luck to you. Back to you, Marv.
All right, one of those games for Michael Jordan. 10 of 30 from the field in his 44 minutes for 27 points, and had his difficulties in the second half. Again, the final, the Bulls 90, the Magic 86. Coming up next, right here on NBC, don't miss an all-new episode of Mad About You. And then Richard Gere and Jodie Foster star in a powerful network movie premiere, Summersby. West Coast viewers will see these shows at their regularly scheduled times. So that wraps it up for Matt Kukas, Ahmad Rashad, and Jim Gray. I'm Marv Albert saying so long from Orlando. This has been the NBA on NBC.
The PGA Seniors